Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing grade 5 multiplication, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of how to multiply big numbers. So let's get started. We're first going to use the column method, and if you look carefully here, you'll see I've got 12 times 16. So we don't know our 16 times table, so we can't go and use our 16 times table on our hand. And we should know our 12 times table, but we don't go all the way up to 16. So we're going to show you a little way to work this out, and it's actually probably the best way that I find. I mean, everyone's different. You might like one of the other methods, but this method seems to work for most children. So I want you to pay attention and to follow what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to do something called column method, which means that you're going to put your numbers into columns. Okay, one underneath each other. Now, the biggest thing to remember is to please write your numbers neatly. So you must write them in the correct format. Only reason I say that is because I have had children that I taught previously at schools that sometimes their 4s look like a 7 or their 6 look like a 0, and even they get confused with their own numbers. So just check. Once you've written your numbers, check that you have the correct numbers and they look like the right numbers. So we're going to start with this one. We're going to do 12 and we're going to times it by 16. Now I want you to use a ruler. Okay, and you're going to take a ruler and you're going to just draw a line underneath it. Okay, for now. You must use a ruler just because it keeps everything nice and neat and tidy. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we are going to try and times 12 by 6 and by 10. Can you see that 16 is made up of 10 and a 6? So we're going to split this up a bit. And I'm going to sort of put my finger over the 1. So can you see it looks like 12 times 6 now? Okay, and I'm just going to write it on the side here. 12 times 6. Okay, you don't have to write this part. So when you're doing this on your own later on, you don't have to write 12 times 6. But I'm just doing it so you can see what I'm doing. So we're going to do this part. So we're going to do the 6 first. So just ignore the 1 for now. And we're going to do 6 times 2 is 12, and we're going to put the 2 here. You can't write the 12 here because this is the units. We're still going to be getting to the 10. So what we're going to do with that extra 1 from the 12 is we're going to give it to the 10s at the top there. Okay, so what we've done is 6 times 2 is 12. I'm writing the 2 from the 12 here and the 1 at the top over there on the next number. Okay, and now we're going to do 6 times 1 is 6. And I want you to add the little number at the top that you put there. So 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 72. Okay, so far we've got 12 times 6 is 72. And that is correct. If you know your times tables, 12 times 6 is definitely 72. Now we're going to go on to the 1. But now this is not just 1. Can you see that it's actually 10? It's in the tens column. So there's a little 0 here that you can't see. And we're going to put that 0 here. We call it the magic 0. Okay, so we're going to put the 0 over there. And that's only because we're timesing by 10. So we're just going to put the 0 here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say 12 times 10. Okay, so we did the 6 and we did the 10. And if you look carefully, 10 and 6 make 16. And that's what we're working with. Anyway, let's move on. So we're still working with the 1. And we're going to do exactly what we did with the 6. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. Now remember that little 1 at the top there only applied to what was happening with the 6. It's not going to happen with the 1 as well, okay? Sometimes if you want, you can actually do the things in different colors so that you can see which one applies where. Okay, so now we've got this part, and you're probably wondering, what do we do next? We're going to take our ruler, and we're actually going to add them. Okay, we're going to add them together. And we're going to do 2 plus 0 is 2. 7 plus 2 is 9, and we just got 1 plus 0 is 1. And then we take our ruler and we just rule off afterwards. Nice and neat and tidy. Now I want you just to have a look at something, and I want you to look at how I've spread my numbers out. Can you see they're not squashed on top of each other? Okay, I've given myself enough space next to each other and also on top of each other. Can you see all the units are directly underneath each other and all the tens are all directly underneath each other? And obviously we've got the 100 here as well, and that's underneath, because if you've got something that's all over the place and you've squashed them around and the tens is in the unit column and the unit column's squished on the side, and it's going to make your life harder and you're not going to know where to add. So you just need to make sure you write neatly, so neat and tidy. You write your numbers one underneath each other and then you carry on. Now I was showing this trick. Someone on another YouTube channel had posted this and I thought it was very, very clever. And one way to get you to write your numbers correctly is just to take a normal piece of paper. So I've just torn this out of one of my little books here. And you just put it on the side, and it just helps you to get used to writing your numbers in the correct columns. So for example, if we have to redo this one again, you've got 12 times by 16. Okay, and use our ruler again. And I'm just going to quickly recap it. We're not going to go through it all exactly the same. But so we said 12 times 6, 6 times 2 is 12, carry 1, 6 times 1 is 1 plus 7. We've got our magic 0, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 1 is 1. Can you see how it puts everything into nice little neat columns for you already? And then you've got your columns ready for you. 2 plus 0 is 2, 7 plus 2 is 9, and you've got your 1. And you actually left with 192. And obviously it's the same answer because it's the same one we've done, but I just wanted to show you how nice this little trick is to use just a piece of paper. So normal exercise book, normal exam pad paper, but all we did with it was we turned it on the side so that we've got nice, neat columns already. Okay, so that's just an extra little side tip just in case. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Let's see if we can do this one as well. We've got 24 times 15, and we're going to do exactly the same. Position your numbers nice and neatly. Okay, you want your numbers to look like the numbers they should be. Okay, and I'm just going to draw my other two lines just so I'm ready and waiting for it. Okay, and I know I'm going to plus them afterwards. All right, so let's start. So we know we have to times 24 by 15. And what we're going to start off with, and I'm just going to write it here. We know we have to times 24 times 5 because we start with the units first. And then we're going to take 24 times by, and we've got a 10. And that's going to help you to remember to put your magic 0 in. So we're going to start with the 5 first. So at 5 times 4 is 20. So we need to put the 0, which is in the units column there. And we're just going to carry the 2 over to the other side. Okay, so this makes it 20. Okay, so 5 times 4 is 20. We put the 0 and we put the 2 there. We're just going to add it to the tens column. And here we've got 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12, and we're left with 120. Let's go to the next one. So we've done the 5s, okay? And we always start right to left. So now we've got the 10. I know I've got 10 there, so I must put my magic 0 in, okay? My magic 0 must go in. And then I can start with the 1. So 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. And that's all I'm left with. And now all you're going to do is you're going to add them together. 0 plus 0 is a 0. 2 plus 4 is 6. And 1 and 2 is 3. And that is your final answer. So now this is called column method, okay? So we've got it there. We're going to start on another method, and this is called the breaking down method. Okay, so we're going to break the numbers down in order to help us work out the answers. Now this is a bit of a longer one. You've got to be using brackets and that, and it's not like the previous method, like the column method. You write it in long lines like this, so this is more like your rows. But let's get into it and let's see what we can do. Okay, let's just change color here to make it a bit more exciting. Okay, so we've got 24 times 12. So what I want you to do is we are going to break up the number into what it's made up of. So what we're going to say here is that I know that 24 times by what makes up 12? What two numbers can you see here? Can you see you've got a 10 and a 2? So this is all you're doing when you're breaking up the method. So you're breaking up the number into its parts. So we know 12 is made up by adding 10 and 2, and that's what I've got here. Now, when it is breaking up, we're just going to expand it out, okay? And we're going to say equals 24 times 10. We're going to do that one, okay? And we're going to add, because remember we've got an adding there, we're going to add the 24 times 2. So all we're doing is very similar to the column method. We've just made it into rows instead. But we're going to say 24 times 10, and we're going to add 24 times 2. So let's see if we can work this out. Now, just as a hint, any time that you times anything by 10, all you need to do is add a 0 to that number. So, for example, if you've got 7 times 10, you've got 7, add a 0, and it makes it 70. In this case, we've got 24 times 10. So we've got the 24. What am I going to do? I'm going to add a 0. Okay, 240. And then we're going to add, and if you know what 24 times 2 is, it just means you're doubling it. So if you're going to double 24, I'm going to get 48. If you can't do that in your head, okay, then please, please, please take a pencil and say 24 plus 24, because remember that's times by 2, you're doubling it. 4 plus 4 is 8, 2 plus 2 is 4, and then at least you've got the answer with you. Okay, this is a way of making sure that you get your answers correct instead of just trying to guess. Okay, I mean sometimes you're very lucky if you get a lucky guess, but sometimes we don't. So it's important that we try and get as many marks as we can in a test, and in order to do that, we actually need to do the working out properly. Okay, you can't be guessing. Okay, so 24 times 2 is 48. Now we're going to add the 2 together. So let's see. If I add my units together, I've got 8. Add my tens, 4 and 4 is also 8. And my hundreds, there's a 200, there's nothing there. So that's a 288. Okay, quite a nice method. Okay, not too bad. It just becomes problematic when you've got really big numbers. Okay, let's go on to the next one. We're going to do 25 times 22. So in this case, what are we going to break this number into? Okay, we need to break it into 20 plus 2. And then we're going to give each one a piece. So you're going to have 25 times 20 plus 25 times 2. Okay, so we're just like separating it out. We're giving it to each of them. And then we're going to work this part out. So again, I've got a 0 there and I've got a 2. So it's 20 times 25. What is double 25? So 25 times 2 is 50. Add a 0 because you've got your 10s there and you've got 500. And now we're going to add 25 times 2. We've already said it's 50. I can add those two very easily and I've got 550. Let's try one more. Let's do 46 times by 30 plus 2. Okay, now this one's a little bit harder. Okay, this one does look a little bit harder than the previous ones. So we're going to take 46 times 30 and we're going to add 46 times 2. Now, some of you might think, oh gosh, I don't know what 46 times 3 is. So we're going to get our pencil out and we're going to do a little bit of working out on the side here. So if you like column method, you can do column method on the side very quickly. This is the short column method. So this is only with one number. So 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 4 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. So the answer is 138. But say you don't like column method. Okay, say for some reason you just haven't grasped it yet and you're not 100% sure on how to work your column method. Then you also know that 46 times 3 is adding 46 3 times. And I think by now you should be quite good at adding. So let's see. 6 and 6 is 12. Add another 6 and you get 18. So I'm going to put an 8 there and we carry a 1. And we've got 4, 8, 12, add one more and we've got 138. And can you see that you've got the same answer? So it doesn't matter which method you use in this case, you're still going to get the same. Okay, now remember we did 46 times 3, not by 30. So what are we going to do? We're going to write down that answer, 138, and put a 0 in because there's a 0 over there. Okay, and now we're going to do 46 times 2. And again, if you can't do it in your head, we can do a quick one on the side. Okay, 6 and 6 is 12. Carry 1. 4 and 4 is 8. Plus 1 is 92. And we've got plus 92. Now this sum was a little bit longer because there was a lot more working out. But we still haven't finished. We still have to add 1,380 and we have to add 92. So if you can't do it in your head, okay, then we can just do it on the side like we have been doing already. There's no problem with working out on the sides unless your teacher doesn't like it. If your teacher's not a fan of it, then do it in pencil and just erase it afterwards. Because obviously you want to try and get as many marks as you can. And if this is how we're going to get them right, then we need to make sure that you're doing some form of working out. Okay, so now we're going to take 1,380, add 92 to it. Okay, we're going to add them together. That's 17, that's 4, and your final answer is 1472. Okay, nice and easy. All right. Okay, let's try a new method. So that was breaking down method. We've done column method. Now we're going to go on to rounding off and compensating. Okay, so now this is quite a tricky little one. I wouldn't say it's incredibly difficult, but it can be tricky because some children don't like this part where it says compensating. They're not sure what it means when it says compensating. Now, compensating is it actually means to make up for. So make up for something. And you'll see now what I mean by making up for something. Okay, so we've got 48 times 45. So what we are going to do is we're going to round off 45. So we keep the 48. We're still timesing, but this time we are going to we're going to round off 45. If I round off 45 to the nearest 10, I'm going to make it 50. Can you see that? Okay, but now I've changed the whole sum. So because I've rounded off, I need to compensate for what I've rounded off. So this is where it gets a little confusing. So we rounded off to 50. Can you see I have to take away 5 to get back to 45? So here is that thing that we did earlier with the breaking down method. So 50 minus 5 is 45. Okay, all we did here was we took 45 and rounded off and then subtracted a 5. So that's all we've done, is to try and make life a little bit easier. Okay, now what we can do is we can do what we did with the breaking down method. We take 48, we times by 50, but this time, can you see we are subtracting? So we need to subtract 48 times 5, and then we can work it out there. Now, this one calls for some working out on the side. Okay, because I know my 5 times table, but I'm not sure about my 5 times table until 48. So we're going to do a little sum on the side. Okay, so 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 4 is 24, and so your answer is 240. Okay, now we're very lucky here because now we've got a 50 and a 5, so we can use this number twice. So I'll show you what I mean. 48 times 50 is taking this number and giving it a 0. So this is going to be 2,400. And you're going to minus 240 from that. And you're going to get your final answer. So now what we'll do is we're going to take our pencil again and we're going to minus 2,400 minus 240. Can you see in all of these sums how we've had to do a little bit of extra working out here and there? Okay, and that's why maths is so important, to understand all the concepts like adding and subtracting, because it actually comes in many areas. So we're going to minus here. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 4 I can't do, so I need to borrow from the 4 and give 10 to the 0. And we've got 10 minus 4 is 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. And we've got 2 minus 0 is 2. So our final answer for this one is 2,160. Okay, let's do one more just to be on the safe side here. Okay, so we're going to do 24 times by, now we're going to round off 35. And we're going to round it up to 40 because we're rounding off. But because I've got 40, I need to still have 35 as an answer, or as a number to multiply by. So we're going to minus 5 from it, because that will still give me 35. So I haven't changed my sum because I've compensated. Okay, I've made up for the numbers that I've given into the rounding off. Okay, and we're going to go to the next one. 24 times 40 minus 24 times 5. So I'm just going to put them in brackets. I see I didn't put brackets here. I should have, so you could see them properly. Sorry. Okay, and now we've got this. So again, if you can't work it out in your head, by all means do a little sum on the side. 24 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Add 1. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. So this one is going to be 96. But because I'm timesing by 0, or 40 with a 0, I'm going to give the 0 to this one over here and make it 960. We're going to minus, and we're going to do a little sum again, just so that we are 100% sure we're getting this right. Timesing it. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. And that's 120. So 960 minus 120. And this one's a little bit easier. 0 minus 0 is still a 0. A 6 minus a 2 is a 4. And 9 minus 1 is 8. Now, if you can't do that, sometimes you're going to have to then go ahead and do a proper normal subtraction sum. Okay. And that is that for rounding off and compensating. Okay, let's get started on doubling and halving. So now this one involves us doubling something and halving it. So doubling means to times it by 2, so add it twice. And to halve it means to divide by itself twice. So you're going to make it half the amount. So whatever you do to one of them, you're going to have to do the opposite to the other one. So for this one, let's try a different color now. Let's see if this orange works. Brilliant. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to double 52 and we're going to halve the 24. Okay, so if I double 52, 50 and 50 is 100, and 2 and 2 is 4. So that's going to be 104. And we are going to halve the 24. And half of 24 is 12. Okay, so we've doubled this side and we've halved this side. Okay, and we can do it again because I still can't do 104 times 12. So let's do it again. Let's double the 104, and that's going to be 208. And we're going to halve the 12, and that's going to be 6. So we're going to double this one again. So 200 and 200 is 400. 8 and 8 is 6. So 200 and 200 is 400. 8 and 8 is 16. So we're going to be left with 416. And we're going to halve the 6, and we're going to make that a 3. Now we're left with 416 times 3. And if you break this up, you can make it 400 times 3 plus 10 times 3 plus 6 times 3. And then you add them together. So we're going to work them out first. 400 times 3 is 1,200. Why? Because 3 times 4 is 12, and I've got 2 zeros to put in there. What is 10 times 3? That's quite a nice one, easy one, and that's 30. And we've got 6 times 3, and that is 18. And now we can add them all together, okay? And we're going to see that we've only got the 1 unit, so that's 8. We've got the 2 tens, so it's 3 and 1, that's 4. And we've got no hundreds or thousands here, so we've just got the 2 and the 1, and that is your final answer. Let's go on to the next one. We're going to do 36 times 64. Now, we're going to double and halve like we did before. So we're going to double 36 and we're going to halve 64. So we're going to double 36 and that is 72. And we're going to halve 64. So what's half of 60? And that's 30. Half of 4 is 2. And we're going to have 32. Okay. Let's double it again, so double and half. So we're going to double 72 and make that 144 because 70 and 70 is 140. 2 and 2 makes 4. What is half of 32? And that is 16. So we've got 144 times 16. Let's see if we can go again. So now we've got, let's double 144. That's 288 times by 8. I think we can go a bit further. Let's try and double 288 and halve the 8. So halving the 8 is easy, that's 4. Let's use a pencil and see what double 288 is. So we're just timesing it by 2, so we're just going to add it twice. 8 and 8 is 16, give 1 to the next one. 8 and 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17. And we're going to give 1 there, and we've got 576. Okay, now we're left with 576 times 4. And I can actually double this again and halve it again. So we've got times by 2 now. So let's see what 576 and 576 is. And you can see I'm just using this one again. Then it saves some space. 6 and 6 is 12. 7 and 7 is 14 plus 1 is a 15. And 5 and 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11. So it's 1,152. Okay. And now that makes it a little bit easier to do because I can now times that by 2. Nothing better than getting to the end and all you have to do is times by 2 because everyone knows their 2 times table. Okay, so let's break this down. We're now going to have 1,000 times 2. Okay, I'm running out of space here. Sorry, guys. And we're going to add 100 times 2. We're going to add 50 times 2. And we're going to add 2 times 2. And let's see what we get. 1,000 times 2 is 2,000. Okay. Oh, that looks like a 3. So 2. You see how now important it is to write your numbers properly. Okay. 2,000 plus 200 plus 100 plus 4. And now we can add them all up. So 2,000 plus 200 is 2,200. Add another 100 is 2,300. And we've got 4. So our final answer is 2,304. Actually works out really, really well. So this is another option that you can choose from. So you have 4 options to choose from. You can either use column method. Okay, so just a reminder, here's your column method. Okay, column method, ready and waiting. This is a nice way of doing it. If you prefer, you could also use the breaking down method. So this is just a reminder of which one's the breaking down method. And if you are not too keen on that one, you have the option of doing rounding off and compensating. And again, your last one here is doubling and halving. So I really hope this lesson has helped you to understand how to multiply numbers by each other. Cheers for now.